Welcome everybody to another episode of Dynasty and the Finest Tea, the official podcast of the Uzum 15 Dynasty Fantasy Football League. I'm your host Lou, and with me as always is our co-host Caldwell. Caldwell, how are you today, and what tea are you drinking?
I'm doing great, Lou. Well, I've got with me a great vanilla Camoro by. It's a creamy, decaffeinated, indulgent black tea, decaffeinated, very tasty. What about you, Lou?
Well, Caldwell, that sounds like a fine tea. We're gonna have to bleep out the name, but fine tea. Me, I am drinking a slippery elm tree tea. Yeah, not sure it's made from the leaves or the bark of the elm tree. Yeah, it's very medicinal, but kind of tasty.
A little honey.
Okay, well, that's good enough for the tea talk today. Let's get to the football. We've got a great show for you guys today, including an interview with Lemoyne, who finished in first place in the regular season. But first, let's recap week 1 of the playoffs.
Well, thanks to everyone for a successful first regular season. Congratulations to the first and second place finishers, Lemoyne and Tirth, who received byes during the first round of the playoffs. The other matchups were Caldwell, me versus Chelsea, and I was the winner of that matchup. And then Will played Alan, Alan winning that matchup here. We've got some more great matches this week, so stay tuned, guys.
Nice. Congrats, Caldwell. Good win.
Thank you. And now to introduce our guest. Our guest today is often called one of the greatest fantasy football players of our generation. His many accomplishments in fantasy football include the aforementioned regular season first place finish in our Dynasty League, and also a first place finish overall in the Uzum 2015 Redraft League in 2013. Listeners, please welcome Mr. Holy Calves himself, Lemoyne.
Hey, Lemoyne, what's going on?
Just living the dream.
Yeah. Well, congrats on the win. Congrats on the first place in the regular season.
Yeah, it feels good.
Getting that nice bye week. What'd you do during your bye week?
What did I do? Well, I have some other leagues I played in, so I lost a very close match in the league I have with my co-residents on Jonathan Taylor's fumble instead of touchdown. He dropped the ball a few yards before the goal.
Yep, at the 1 year line.
I lost by less than a point, so that one really hurt.
That's a shame.
Yeah. So, I'm just, I'm in 6 leagues, and I think my strategy this year was to split up kind of the players I liked and not go too much in on one player, with one exception, which we could talk about later. But, so I have some teams that did really well, and one team where I was very close to being the loser and having to get the loser punishment, but, came through on the back of Justin Jefferson's 2 touchdowns, a couple weeks ago. So, so I'm just fantasy football all day, every day, and then sometimes I work and also trying to start up a research career on the side.
Nice. Well done. Yeah, 6 leagues. That's pretty hard. I only have 2 that I can barely handle it.
I want to hear more about this punishment that you narrowly avoided.
It's actually not that bad, but it's just it's a lot of shame involved. So it's for my undergrad league. There's a tradition at an undergrad where on your birthday or just if people feel like it, they throw you into a lake that's in the middle of the school. And so we call it laking. And so as our punishment, we started up the league. I think it's like over 12 years old now. That's what we decided to make the punishment is that the loser gets laked. And so I've been in the league 12 years. I've won it once. And I've been close to the bottom a couple times, but have never lost. And so I went up against one of our league members. He actually just turned 50. He's the vice chair of our of academic affairs. So he's really high up in the university, but he's in our little alumni fantasy league. And so it was me or him going head to head in the last week for the last place on the line, and narrowly came through. And
nice.
Honestly, it feels almost as good as winning the league is barely avoiding last place. So yeah.
So do you guys still get together to do the laking?
Well, so not always, because we're pretty spread out. Some of us live on the West Coast and East Coast and everywhere in between. You basically have to be thrown into a large body of water by at least two people, and then you have to film it and submit it to the league on video. Is kind of the stipulation. But this year, the person who got laked came for our draft we did in person, and so we threw him into a lake as a league, and it was a really unifying and experience for us, and brought us all together.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, we should think about doing something like that for our league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Cool. We need to figure it out.
So yeah, we should figure that out soon.
Yeah, because that's lose punishment, right?
What? No. I'm still playing in the ninth place game. I can still win.
Okay.
Well, Lemoyne, thanks again for coming onto our podcast, Dynasty and the Finest Tea. Well, I always like to begin by asking our guest what their favorite tea is.
These days, I think I drink more tea and kombucha than anything else. So I don't know if fermented tea is a legitimate answer. Otherwise, it's just like whatever
sure
has the most caffeine. So a lot of green tea, yeah, but mostly kombucha.
Okay, and I see you're drinking something now. What is that?
Oh, this is a
Is
fine
that a
French wine.
kombucha?
No, this is
Oh, some
Wine.
wine.
Okay, that in many ways, that's the finest tea.
It's the nighttime
Wine.
tea.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Well, here's another popular question that a lot of our listeners wanted us to ask you, Lemoyne. Your team name, Holy Calves. What's the origin story of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as I think many of the people in our league know, my Cavs actually have their own Facebook page. So, in college, they built up quite a reputation. And so, when I started my first fantasy team, I was just trying to think of something fun and playful for the team name. And so, kind of a play off of Holy Cow was the idea. So, and it's a pretty unique name, and I've just stuck with it in most of my leagues.
Well, I'm gonna
I
be
just
looking
got
for
that.
that.
Okay, I just got it. So like a younger cow, like a calf. I just got that. That's very
Wait.
good.
I think I just got it too. Yeah, I think I just got it too.
And also, I wanted to ask you, what was your draft strategy for this year? This is your first Dynasty League, is that right?
My first Dynasty League, I've been wanting to do this forever, so I really appreciate you guys putting this league together. I know last year it didn't quite come together, but you guys stuck with it, and I could not be more excited to be in this league.
Yeah.
So, I think, going to Dynasty League, I did approach it slightly differently than I do other leagues because, I think the overarching perspective I had was at the end of the day, I want to have players that I believe in and that I'm excited to have my team. So even if it's a bad team, then then I'm still gonna enjoy watching rooting for players I like. And so, with one exception, I mostly drafted players that I believed in, and I don't want to give away all my secrets, but there's one or two voices in the fantasy community that I pay a lot of attention to, and so a lot of the players I like are kind of shaped by their perspectives. But I was actually drafting for a team that I expected to be a little bit better and like next year. But I was fortunate in that some of my players that I expected, I would have to wait on, ended up being really good this year. And, I think probably the three most important picks for my team, Joe Burrow with my first round pick, Saquon Barkley with my third round pick, and then Josh Jacobs. There was a narrative going into the season that in the past running backs that had been traded to another team didn't do well in their first season. And this year just completely rewrote that narrative. And so, I was a beneficiary as someone who is, just likes to have strong running backs on his team. And then I think the other thing I love about my team, getting Brian Robinson in the 9th round was a really strong pick for me.
Man.
Arguably the strongest rookie receiver this year, but certainly feel really good about him. And then, I didn't take too many rookies overall. I think something that I thought was an advantage for me is I kind of valued the first year players a little bit more than some of the rookies. With the idea I've already seen them play first season, they're already acquainted to NFL game speed, and so that's how I ended up with Jaden Reed, Chase Brown, among others on my team. I think my biggest pitfall this year was drafting Deshaun Watson, and I'm pretty sure if I lose this
Yep.
league, it will be the curse of Deshaun Watson. I regret
You
doing
knew it
that.
too.
I knew it too, and not only did he not help me at all, but I just felt gross the entire season. There was nothing
Yep.
better when, I don't root for players to get injured, but just being able to let him go and not have to think about him is something that I really benefited from, and hopefully my aura has been cleansed to some extent. But if I lose this week, I'm blaming it on Deshaun Watson.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Chase Brown was a great pick. I went the other direction. I picked Zach Moss.
Yeah. Well, I watched him at the end of last season, and I just saw all that speed he had, and but the only reason why he ended up blowing up as much as he did, and he's the player I was referring to earlier. I have him on basically every team because I loved him so much. I thought he was a great value, but were it not for Zach Moss injury, it would have been a timeshare all year. I'm pretty sure, and we never would have seen what he was, his potential was. So I guess I got fortunate in that regard at Zach Moss's expense.
You drafted him across all six?
I think there was one league I didn't have him in. But yeah, he was my most the player I felt the strongest about as value. And then the other thing I should say about my strategy, it's starting to come into play now. Michael Penix, he was someone I thought could maybe be the best quarterback in this year's draft class, and was being extremely undervalued given that he was behind Kirk Cousins presumably for a couple of years. And so it seems like the timeline has been accelerated there, so it'll be interesting to see if he can actually play at the NFL level. But some of the voices I listened to were very bullish on him and thought that in Dynasty especially he was being undervalued. So we're going to find out if that's the case.
I dare you to start him this week.
I thought about it, but
I double dog dare you.
Rookie debuts usually don't go too well. With a few exceptions, so I'm gonna take the historical perspective on that. And,
okay. Don't trust your draft.
All right, Lemoyne. Well, the prize money, as you know, for finishing first place in the regular season is $50,000.
Yeah.
What are you planning on doing with that money? It's a lot.
That's a good question. So what I can tell you is $50,000. I think is about what I pay for daycare every year. So I'm just gonna put it in like a daycare fund. Yeah, it's super expensive. I can't imagine what it is out in Palo Alto, but even in St. Louis, man, it's just I like to measure like money and units of like Bora Bora vacations. So that's like 1 or 2.5 Bora Bora vacations, and I wish actually I changed my mind. I'm gonna go to Bora Bora. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to Bora Bora twice.
Nice. Okay. Very, very good. Very good.
But what about daycare?
We'll figure it out.
Leave him there.
Well, I have to get a question in about you as a commissioner somehow making it to the number 1 seed in the playoffs. Is there a conspiracy there? Also,
it's a great question.
I made it in there, so there are 2 out of 6 playoff spots.
Yeah,
with,
So
commissioners.
I'm under the assumption as the third commissioner that we were all going to bow out of the playoffs, respectfully, for the sake of the league. Is that not what you guys were under the impression of?
Well, I think the conspiracy
I thought everyone was just going to let me win.
Yeah. I mean, if there was actual money involved, I think I probably maybe wouldn't have cheated so much. But if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. The conspiracy really goes back to draft day. When we didn't tell Alan Plotzker that it was a 2-quarterback league, and that's really where the conspiracy started. And from there, we just we planted seeds of doubt and deception, and that's how I ended up at the top, and Caldwell closely there. Caldwell barely snuck into the playoffs as one of the stronger teams, but was on the outside looking in, and so we set up the schedule and the bye week so that Caldwell could barely sneak in, and then it's really just going to come down to Caldwell or me, I think, in terms of the championship. So I think it's played out exactly as we planned.
Oh man!
Well,
if famous last words, Lemoyne. Famous last words. We're gonna replay this if both of us get knocked out. So,
well, we can't both get knocked out this week.
Not this week, but you know what I mean.
So, Lemoyne, now looking forward to next year's draft, are there any players you're particularly excited about?
I mean, I think I'm most excited to see what Brian Thomas can do next year. I think he could really arise as one of the elite fantasy options um, going into next year. Yeah, I'm hoping with one more offseason that Anthony Richardson can maybe go from being a first round bust to being someone people are excited about again next year, and then Chris Olave as well, just with all the injuries and the quarterback changes, and I think he's someone I'm extremely bullish on, probably more than the market, because I've seen the potential there, and just the situation has not been a fruitful one for him. But I have no doubt he's going to be a wide receiver one in the coming years. So.
Mm-hmm.
I
What
see
about the
what you
rookie
did
draft?
there.
Yeah, yeah. You have the 10th pick potentially in the rookie draft. You gotta give us a little clue of what you're gonna go for.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you did.
Good answer.
The original question was about the exciting upcoming players, and you
I see. Okay. Sorry, did I misunderstand that? Are you asking about the rookies for next year?
Yeah, yeah. Who are you gonna
Oh,
pick if you were picking 10th and I'm picking 11th? Who
yeah.
are you picking?
I mean, obviously, my team doesn't have a long term, tight end, situation. Fryermuth, I think, will be serviceable. And there's enough tight ends on the waiver wire. You can find a slot. So I'm looking at the guy from Penn State. I forget his name. But he's someone who's going to be, we'll see if it works out. But also, I'm kind of glad I didn't end up with Dalton Kincaid or Sam Laporta or some of these highly drafted tight ends this year. So I think that the strategy of sort of punting tight end is one I could do for a couple more years and just double down on my running back strategy. So, but but honestly, I have sources I rely on too. If I don't watch a lot of college football, so I have sources I rely on to do that evaluation for me. So kind of see what they think. But probably the most glaring hole in my roster is tight end.
You're gonna have to share these sources one day, Lemoyne.
I mean, maybe once I win the league a couple years, and I want to give you guys a chance. But I think overall, with the exception of one pick, Rashad White was one person that was rated pretty highly by this source, and I didn't believe in Rashad White. I had him on no other teams, and so I think he's still going to be a decent. He's going to be like a backup in the league for a while, so he'll be useful on my roster. But I don't think he was worth the 7th round pick I paid for him.
Hmm. Oh, he's pretty good this year, so I think it's definitely been helpful to your team.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many good players. It's just I really it's hard to compare to some of the other rosters, but I think my team, he's not someone I'm super excited to start, but I guess other teams would be happy to have him. So
Hmm.
yeah, maybe if you're looking to trade for a running back who catches a lot of passes, come knock on my door.
Yeah, maybe. I do have the rest of that backfield locked up. Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker.
I mean, if you want to trade the 101 for Rashad White, I think we might be
No,
able to work something out.
yeah. I'll have to think about that. Well, speaking of making trades, are there any players you would target in the trade?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some. I'm probably not looking to trade that much this offseason. I'm pretty happy with my roster overall. But we'll see how the tight end situation works out. I know there's some people who have stockpiled a few tight ends, so I might be interested in trading for a veteran to get me through next season, because I think I have a roster that can contend next year. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with my roster.
Cool. Does that mean that everyone's off limits on your roster, or
no?
Does everyone have a price?
Probably the only person I wouldn't trade on this roster is Joe Burrow, just because I don't think I could possibly get equal value. I think everyone else is pretty much up for grabs. Yeah. And probably same thing with Brian Thomas. I think those are probably the pieces of my team that will carry me forward, and hopefully many successful campaigns in the future.
Cool. Well, thanks, Lemoyne. That's a lot of very wonderful insight into your fantasy football brain. Really appreciate it. Now we have one more question that's been sent in by our listeners. Caldwell, would you like to read it?
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Feeling for a Thrill says, "Have you paid your dues?"
Have I paid my dues? Has anyone paid their dues? I,
Mm.
I legitimately thought that we weren't playing for money this year because
Wait, what?
if I'm happy to pay the dues, I would have done that months ago. I just thought we weren't doing it because people didn't.
I did catch that.
Play.
You said earlier something about something about not playing for money in this league.
I 100% thought we weren't playing for money because I
Have
didn't
you
think
read
that.
our league constitution?
It's in the Constitution.
Well, I will Venmo you right now.
And I think
Who am I
Caldwell
sending?
sent out a Venmo request or an email, right? About dues?
Not a request, but like an email.
Yeah, an email. Yeah.
It's okay. There's someone else on the list as well. We won't call him
Oh.
out this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay. So who am I sending this to? I'm sending this to Caldwell.
Yeah.
Okay. How much do
So
I
I
owe
can
you?
send it right back to you. It's okay. I didn't send Greg money for our other league, and he sent me the difference of the two dues.
So how much do I owe you though?
It's 30, right?
30.
Yeah.
30,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited about this development because I thought I was just playing for the pride and of winning the league, and so I didn't realize there was actually some money on the line. So that's
Interesting. Oh, dang, Caldwell would have.
Oh, yeah.
See,
We should have just
Actually,
said 120.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm gonna send this
Oh,
right
look
now.
at this.
I'm gonna send you some money for gas. That's what I'm telling Venmo so that you don't.
What a great question by who is it? Pilates?
Pilates,
At
Dr.
Phil the
Pilates.
Thrill? Yeah, what a great question. Love it.
Feel for a thrill. Don't
All
feel
right.
for a thrill.
I'm
Just feel for a
no
thrill.
longer delinquent on my dues.
Cool. Well, thanks, Lemoyne. Appreciate it. That, I think, takes care of business on our end. Lemoyne, any current or upcoming projects you'd like to plug before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm working on a paper right now. I think it's actually pretty interesting. It's a small paper, but it's looking at microbiome perturbations after radiation in the GI tract. I presented this a couple of meetings, but so I'll spoil the punchline here a little bit. But it's interesting. Radiation has a lot of local effects, so we target our radiation to the pancreas tumor, the breast tumor, etc. And so, but when people think about the microbiome, they think about just sampling the stool from the patient or the animals, and actually the stool is an amalgam of the microbiota from the entire GI tract, and the composition of the microbiome actually varies a lot from the stomach all the way down to the rectum and then the stool. So the argument my paper makes is that if you want to understand microbiome perturbations due to local injuries such as radiation, that you actually need to sample the microbiota associated with the tissue that's being injured, and the stool is actually not a good proxy for that. So look for that paper coming to a very highly specialized journal near you. I'll probably plug it up Twitter a little bit, but yeah, if you want to read it and cite it, that'd be great.
Cool.
Awesome.
Sounds great. Yeah, we'll definitely look forward to reading that. All right. Well, we won't keep you any longer from your family, Lemoyne. Appreciate you talking with us.
Lou, do you know what time it is?
No?
It's mail time.
What's that?
Our mail. It's mail time.
Oh, like the segment we do every week. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Our mail today is from a listener on Instagram who goes by the handle Dr. A. Glass. He says, "Hey guys, first time, long time. Love the show. Keep it up."
That's it?
That's
no question?
That's it. No question.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. A. Glass. Caldwell, I have some exciting news. We have a new sponsor, which means I get to do an ad read, unless you want to do the ad read.
No.
Yeah, you want me to do it? Okay, I'll do
it. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Tired of getting your science news and views from reputable sources? Well, introducing Scientific, the science blog for the modern skeptic. Visit scientific.com. Visit scientific.com today and sign up with the code Dynasty for 50% off your monthly subscription for the first 6 months.
Sorry.
SCIENTAFIC.com.
We
They're
gotta
not
do
going to
that
give us
again.
any money for that.
Nicely done. I'm sorry.
Tired of getting your science news and views from reputable sources? Introducing Scientific, the science blog for the modern skeptic. Visit scientific.com today and sign up with the code Dynasty for 50% off your monthly subscription for the first 6 months. That's SCIENTAFIC.com.
Nicely done.
Thanks.
All right, that's it for this episode, everybody. We'd like to thank our guest today, Lemoyne, our sponsor, Scientific, and all our league mates at WSM 15 Dynasty. Dynasty and the Finest Tea is produced by GBG Productions. Our theme music is Happy Rock by Benjamin Tissot. You can follow us on Instagram at WSM 15 Dynasty. And please tune in next week for a Week 2 playoffs recap and an interview with the second place regular season finisher, Tissot. Well, if you don't lose, Tissot.
Yeah, you probably will, though.
It's all right.
All right. See you next time, guys.
See you guys.